Welcome back once again to the India Today Access My India election tracker that's looking at the election battleground states in the winter test of 2018. Let's turn to the final one now, Chhattisgarh. What's the probability of Raman Singh doing something that very few politicians do, win 4 consecutive elections? Take a look now first. When we ask that question, do you want this government to come back? The Raman Singh government that's been elected thrice, going back to 2003. 43% are saying yes, we want Raman Singh's government to be re-elected. So very similar numbers coming in Chhattisgarh to what we saw in Madhya Pradesh earlier today. On the other hand, 41% are saying thumbs down. So it is a close race. And remember, margins in Chhattisgarh have been very close in the past. The gap between the BJP and Congress last time was just 1%. Don't know, and this again becomes significant, is 16%. So much like Madhya Pradesh, we are seeing a tight contest in the state of Chhattisgarh. What's the probability index of Raman Singh doing a quadruple, a straight home run? Let's go to Dr. Rajiv Karandikar, and this is what he says. He says there's a 55% chance of this government coming back. So it was 52% in Madhya Pradesh, it was down to 35% in Rajasthan, but the BJP again a little up in Chhattisgarh at 55%. Let's listen in to what Rajiv Karandikar has to say, the reasons for this relatively higher probability than compared to the other states.
Yeah, you see, other states it seems like it is a one-on-one fight. In MP, BSP is there, but it is not in a major way. Whereas in Chhattisgarh, Ajit Jogi and BSP combination is significant, as is seen by the choice of Ajit Jogi as CM. So that becomes a genuinely triangular fight, and therefore this gap of 2% between those who want the government back and those who don't may translate to a higher gap between the vote shares of BJP and Congress, giving a comfortable victory to BJP.
So let's try and make sense of these numbers. If the gap between those who want the government back in power and those who don't is only 2%, why is it that Raman Singh is more comfortably placed than Shivraj Singh Chauhan? Let's just explain that to you. First, there's a 55% chance of Raman Singh coming back to power. The reason is because there is an alliance between Ajit Jogi and the BSP in Madhya Pradesh that seems to be pulling away 7% of the vote. Our own sense is that about 66% of the vote that Ajit Jogi and Mayawati are pulling away is coming from those who are likely to vote for the Congress, and 33% is coming from the BJP. So he's damaging both, but 2/3 of his voters coming from the Congress and 1/3 coming from the BJP. So the gap is narrow, as it has been, because in the last election, the gap between the BJP and the Congress was only 0.8%. In the election before that, it was 1.3%. So the gap in Chhattisgarh traditionally very narrow, but this time the anti-BJP, anti-government vote is getting split. Raman Singh remains highly popular despite being in office for 3 terms. I was in Chhattisgarh just last week. We attended several sabhas with Raman Singh. Dr. Saab, as he's called, the Chawalwala Baba, he is pulling this election on his own steam. He is popular. His MLAs, not so popular, several ministers with corruption charges against him, but Raman Singh still very popular across the state. Bhupesh Baghel, who's the Congress's leader in Chhattisgarh, and Ajit Jogi taken together still trail Raman Singh, which means even if Ajit Jogi had been with the Congress, it would have been tighter still, but Raman Singh still enjoys more popularity than the both of them taken together. The BJP started a big mobile distribution scheme, about 20 lakh mobiles given mostly to the young and to women. That seems to be yielding dividends according to our polling. Unemployment is a major issue, and the BJP is quite unpopular in the 12 seats of Bastar, the Naxal hit areas. I was in Sukma, Dantewada, the BJP very unpopular there. Rajdeep, when we interviewed Raman Singh, in the space of about 20 minutes, 3 or 4 times he spoke of Mayawati and Ajit Jogi. You know, it's almost as if the BJP, the only reason they believe that they will come back to power despite some anti-incumbency is because 6-7% of the vote is getting chipped away.
And absolutely, in a state where the gap has been 1%, sometimes even less than that, that's 6-7%, particularly because when you add Jogi and Mayawati, there are about 33 seats out of 90 where they can make a difference. So Praveen Chakravarti, will you be honest enough to concede that while perhaps Mayawati cannot hit you as badly as you fear in Madhya Pradesh, in Chhattisgarh she is clearly the X factor. Without her, you do not have a real chance of taking on Raman Singh. With her, you probably would win this election.
I think it is a fact that elections in Chhattisgarh, Vidhan Sabha elections in Chhattisgarh are extremely close and the gap is very, very narrow. Not just in the 2013, even in 2008, the gap was just 1%. And in both those elections, the BSP was not part of the Congress alliance, right? But so to that extent, yes, it is a very, very close fight. But let me point to something that I myself saw in your own data, which is 85% of people, when asked the question, do you think the Ajit Jogi-BSP alliance can form government, said no. 85% of them say no. Then to go ahead and then argue that 11% prefer Ajit Jogi as chief minister is a clear contradiction in terms. This is where I think I always...
No, but Praveen Chakravarti, you are reading that data wrong, and given that you are a data scientist, I'm surprised you are reading that data wrong, because look at the same response to that question. Can the government, can the Ajit Jogi BSP CPI alliance win an election? 7% are saying yes, which essentially means, and that's the reason that this question was asked, if 7% are saying yes, which means BSP, CPI, Ajit Jogi are taking 7% of that vote, and 2/3 of the vote they're taking away is coming from you. You showed desperation in tying up with Chandrababu Naidu. If you'd shown similar desperation in Chhattisgarh, you would have given the BJP a run for its money. Why was that similar desperation not shown? 7% say yes, which means 7% of the vote is going towards Ajit Jogi and Mayawati.
Let me be fair to the Congress. Is it so much of desperation that the Congress failed to show, or the fact that the BJP, as is the buzz in Chhattisgarh, that the BJP tied up, that Ajit Jogi and Mayawati are the B team of the BJP in Chhattisgarh? I just wonder which it is. But yes, Praveen Chakravarti, go ahead.
No, Rahul, thanks for that short lesson on data science. This is where we have to interpret voting pattern, something that translates into voting action versus intent. Let me tell you how we interpret and how some of my own surveys say. When asked if you're angry with the current government and you want a new government in place, would you vote for the party that is most likely to replace the current government? The answer would be a resounding no. So if 7% feel that Ajit Singh BSP could win the polls, that does not mean 7% of voters will vote for this, right? So the intent is very different from the act. So what I'm merely pointing to is the intent or the thought that most people, a large majority, more than 3/4 of people, do not think that they can form the government, which as we get closer to the election, will translate and impact voting behavior. That was the larger point I was making.
Let me ask Amit Malviya that. Are Ajit Jogi and Mayawati your B team? Is there a sense that you have, as Rahul is saying, consciously pushing the idea, they're also there? And in some ways, that has been your attempt in this election to create third forces, not make it binary so that the anti-incumbency vote gets split. True or not?
First of all, Rajiv, almost about 9 months ago, when we were in Chhattisgarh, that is when our President Amit Shah ji announced that the BJP will win as many as 65 seats in Chhattisgarh. It was even before BSP and Ajit Jogi tied up. So the theories that you're floating obviously don't hold.
No, politicians always exaggerate the number of seats they're going to get. But the buzz on the ground and in Delhi is that you are propping up candidates of Jogi and Mayawati, putting in resources in the belief that in those marginal seats is advantage to you.
Rajdeep, the BSP has always been a third force in Chhattisgarh. They have won close to about 4.3%. So there's no question of propping up a force which did not exist. Obviously, they were there. The Congress failed to get Ajit Jogi on board. He's gone ahead and tied with Mayawati. I mean, bad luck to them. But let me come to why we are winning. That is more important to understand. We're not winning because the Congress is not doing something right. We are going to win because we have done a lot of things right in the last 15 years. And again, let's not forget, this is a government that has been in term for 3 years. The social welfare programs in the state of Chhattisgarh, whether run by the central government or by the state government, have reached the last person right there in the forests of Dantewada and Bastar. Why am I making this point? Because most of those people would traditionally either vote for the BSP or for, say, Ajit Jogi, are now voting for the BJP. It is a different matter that the BSP and Ajit Jogi coming together will probably eat in a little more vote than they did earlier. But that's not why we are going to win.
No, but it's a divided state. In the Bastar area, for example, where land is a big issue, you've done badly. You did badly in 2013. You could do even worse in 2018, which is why you needed Jogi and Mayawati. I'm just wondering, you say yes, and Chawalwala Baba, all that is well, and he is an underrated politician, winning possibly a 4th election. But there are, there are divergences in a state like Chhattisgarh where money has gone, where have the resources been pumped in, and people who've been left out. And that has shown in elections. It's been very close. 44% place, 43% has been the kind of, small vote differences between the BJP and Congress.
Rajiv, there is no way of proving the charge that you're making that the BSP Ajit Jogi alliance has been propped up by the BJP. There's no way of proving that.
No
the
way
fact
of proving
is,
it. Of course not.
The Congress need to have shown greater election smarts and ensured that Ajit Jogi and Mayawati came on their ticket.
Can you trust Ajit Jogi? Let's be fair for once to, let's be on, and we can take this to Yogendra Yadav. Do you believe that Ajit Jogi and Mayawati would have made that big difference? Are we giving them to, or should we be giving more credit to Raman Singh, as Amit Malviya is saying? 15 years in power doesn't seem to be major anti-incumbency against the Chief Minister. Maybe against his MLAs again, but not against the Chief Minister. And that's the success both of Shivraj Singh and of Raman Singh, that they are seen as people's leaders. Despite the charges of corruption against their family, other charges.
5 years ago in Chhattisgarh, when exactly the same question was asked, at that point, those who said BJP should get another chance were 48%. Those who said no were 25%. That has become 43-41, which indicates a strong incumbency. Allow me to also mention the fact that there have been huge accusations of corruption. Mr. Raman Singh's son has been named in Panama Papers. There have been series of scams. There have been deaths related to false medicines. So we have looked at a series of scams in Chhattisgarh. The reason why it may not translate so easily is A, Congress doesn't have a leadership to speak of. Yes, in fact, getting rid of Ajit Jogi may have been a blessing in disguise for the Congress, because it's not clear whether having Ajit Jogi is more of a problem or more of a strength. But at the moment, the presence of a third player may seem to work to BJP's advantage. So if BJP comes back to power, it would be principally thanks to Ajit Jogi and Mayawati.
Can I just say something? Because when Ajit Jogi and the BSP alliance happened, the BJP in Chhattisgarh were originally very enthused. Then as Ajit Jogi started giving out tickets, they realized that this wasn't looking so good, because, for example, on a general seat in Chhattisgarh, Ajit Jogi suddenly put up a candidate of the same caste that the BJP had put up. So originally, while his first attack was against the Congress to do damage to the Congress, he later started putting up candidates who could do damage to the BJP as well. His current game is ensure that the BJP doesn't come to power by itself, so that Raman Singh and the BJP need to rely on him to form a government post the 11th of December. So he is a character who does swing both ways.
But I think we've got to give a little bit of credit, as I said, to Raman Singh, because despite all these charges of corruption, and there are many, this is a state where the BJP has faced the state government has faced serious charges of corruption at all levels, even his son named in the Panama Papers. I'm trying to understand, why is it then that the BJP chief ministers still retain a level of popularity compared to that of the Congress? And Dr. Sandeep Shastri, maybe this shows that the Congress is not able to throw up regional leaders. Ajit Jogi has left the Congress now almost a decade. Where is that next generation? I know there was that terrible Naxal attack where a number of Congress leaders lost their lives, but in all these states, barring Madhya Pradesh, the Congress's ability, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, the Congress's ability to throw homegrown leaders, in Telangana also, leaders who can challenge the established leadership, seems to be limited. That enables the BJP leader to perhaps get a larger than life image despite their flaws.
I would extend Professor Yogendra's argument. I think the challenge for the Congress in Chhattisgarh in particular and across the country in general is when they face a direct challenge from the BJP with an established BJP leader at the state level, the Congress has not been able to come up with a face, a name to challenge that leadership, and Chhattisgarh is a clear example. Okay. Let me make another quick point, Rajdeep, which is, whenever the media has looked at Chhattisgarh, we tend to give more importance to Madhya Pradesh than to Chhattisgarh, and that has worked to Raman Singh's advantage, that a lot of floodlight of attention has not been thrown on what has happened under this government in the last 5 years. I would again make the point that the BSP Ajit Jogi alliance is clearly helping the BJP and is clearly likely to affect the chances of the Congress, because this alliance is taking away the anti-BJP vote, is splitting the anti-BJP vote, and in a close race, this could make all the difference with regard to the Congress not being able to reach those numbers and the BJP being able to.
So we have one last graphic we want to put on our screen on this broadcast in the PSC. This is in response to the question, who do people in Chhattisgarh want to see as the state's next chief minister? Remember, Raman Singh, when we polled last, was at 41% in September 2018. He's now been able to increase that to 44. This is hugely commendable given the fact that he's been chief minister for 15 years, since 2003. He's been running the state and more people want to see him as chief minister rather than that number coming down. The one person you may not have heard of very much but is actually doing quite well for the Congress in Chhattisgarh is a man called Bhupesh Baghel. He's been doing a padyatra across the state. He's the one who's seen as having revived the Congress's fortunes in Chhattisgarh. The Congress was down and out after the 2013 Naxal terror attack in Darba Valley, where virtually the entire top leadership of the party was ruled out. Rahul Gandhi chose Bhupesh Baghel. By all accounts from Chhattisgarh, he's actually done well for the party, giving it a chance, at least bringing it into the hunt once again. Otherwise, the top leadership had been completely decimated. There is Ajit Jogi, who picked up 12% of the vote last time in terms of people wanting him as chief minister after December 11th. That's now up to 13%. But he's a diabolical character, a lot like the House of Cards. So he is somebody you really can't trust. You never know which way he'll go, no matter what he tells you on his face. Then there is Sri Bhupesh Singh Dio of the Congress. He's at 11%. There's some talk of him and Bhupesh Baghel not getting along as well as they should. But that's the way it is. 11% for T.S. Singh Dio in Chhattisgarh. Then there is Saroj Pandey, who's at 2%. So broadly, Raman Singh, the Chawalwala Baba, Dr. Singh, way ahead, and that could be the one reason that the BJP could win. And the one interesting thing we picked up when we were traveling across Bastar, Rajdeep, was that in the 5 sabhas that we attended with Raman Singh, he spoke of Atal Bihari Vajpayee again and again, helping set up the state of Chhattisgarh. There's very little mention of the Prime Minister. So in every speech, again and again, he spoke of Vajpayee ji, but he didn't speak much of Narendra Modi. The one fact is, if they win in Chhattisgarh, it will largely be on account of the personal popularity of Raman Singh.